The late afternoon sun dripped gold through the leaves, painting stripes across the forest floor as Finn and Elara walked. Finn, ever the cautious one, trailed behind his adventurous younger sister. The woods were deep, the silence broken only by the crunch of leaves under their boots and the distant caw of a crow. Then, a sound cut through the quiet. A desperate cry, thin and reedy, carried on the breeze. "Did you hear that?" Elara whispered, her hand instinctively reaching for Finn's. It sounded like, "Mom." Finn froze. Their mother had been gone for 3 years, a memory etched in the painful silence of their lives. The thought was absurd, a cruel trick of the wind, yet a knot of dread tightened in his chest. "It's just the wind," he said, his voice barely a breath, trying to convince himself as much as Elara. But the sound came again, closer this time, laced with a familiar desperation that chilled them to the bone. They followed the sound, pushing aside thick undergrowth, their hearts pounding a frantic rhythm against their ribs. The trees grew denser, the light fading, the air growing heavy with an unnatural stillness. And then they saw her. Or rather, they saw a figure, cloaked in shadows, resembling their mother in the ethereal light filtering through the canopy. The figure sat huddled at the base of an ancient oak, her back to them, sobbing softly. Elara gasped, and Finn felt his legs turn to jelly. Cautiously, they approached. As they got closer, the figure turned, and a wave of conflicting emotions washed over them. It wasn't their mother. It was an old woman, frail and weathered, her face etched with sorrow and exhaustion. Her clothes were torn and dirty, her eyes filled with a deep, haunting sadness. "Lost," she whispered, her voice raspy, barely audible. "Lost and alone." Finn knelt beside her, his heart still hammering, the echo of his mother's voice lingering in his ears. He offered her his water bottle. The woman took it gratefully, her trembling hands clutching the plastic. "Thank you," she rasped, her voice thick with emotion. "My name is Agnes. I've been lost for days." Elara, her initial shock fading, helped Agnes to her feet. They guided her out of the woods, the setting sun casting long shadows behind them. As they walked, Finn thought about the cry, the uncanny resemblance to his mother's voice. Perhaps it was just a trick of the mind, a subconscious yearning for a lost loved one manifesting in a way he couldn't comprehend. Or perhaps, he mused, the woods themselves had a way of weaving illusions, of playing tricks on the senses, blurring the line between reality and memory. Either way, he knew that he would never forget the sound, the feeling of dread. Wood's walk turned mysterious,